multi-step equations. Most students will say that these are the harder problems to do when it comes to worded problems. Now, for the test, I just want to reiterate the GED test. The GED test has four sections. One is the math, one is the language arts, the science, and the social studies. Now, the science and the social studies and the language arts are reading tests. All the material is given. You just need to understand what was given to you and answer questions. Now, when it comes to the math is also a reading test. I tell students that there are 48 questions on the GED test. 7 of them you'll have to do by hand without a calculator, but the others you will. Now, they give you a calculator to use during the test because it's a tool, but it's not going to help you get the right answer. It's just a tool to compute numbers. The GED test, the math section, is a reading test. It's a reading test. Most of those 48 questions, about up to maybe 40 will be in with words, with information, with data. So it's a reading test. And I tell students again, just like other reading tests, the science and the social studies, all the material's there. You just need to understand what you read and use your tools. Okay. Now, when it comes to multi-step equations, people have different ways of doing things, especially when it comes to reading. A lot of times, sometimes I'll see students read, rail has not 4 miles. So what they start to do is underline all stuff like this. They have different techniques, but I'm going to show you another technique. Okay. And I kind of like it because it breaks down all worded problems into a process. The first step in any worded problem is to read. That's the first step. Don't try to memorize. Don't try to start computing numbers. Just read the material. A lot of times students don't read very well. They run over words. They look at the nouns versus the verbs because the verbs showing action. The verbs are actually telling you to add, take, multiply, or divide. And students don't really focus on the verbs. They look at the nouns. But let's take a look at this, okay? So our first section says, Nyla runs 4 miles each day. Zoe! Come on, boo. Come on, baby girl. Get that boy in there. Get that baby boy in there. Go sit down. Go. Oh, go sit. Sit. Go. Go. Sit. Go sit. Sit in your bed. Here. Your bed. Y'all leave me alone. Go sit. Sit. Go sit. Go sit down. Do what you do. Go sit. Zooey, you go sit too. Go. Sit in your bed. Go sit down. Y'all stay. Stay. Okay, here I am, starting over again. All right, multi-step equations. 3, 2, 1. Multi-step equations. Multi-step equations just means that you're doing more than one thing. You're going to be doing 2 things, or 3 things, or 4 things in some specific order. Okay, this usually implies the order of operation. Now, let's read this first math problem. says Nyla runs 4 miles each day, 7 days a week. She has already run 24 miles this week. How many more miles will Nyla run this week? No, let's go ahead and take out our data. Look, the first number, 4. 4 is how many miles she runs each day. The next number is 7. She runs 7 days each week. So what they're telling you is that she runs every day. Every day. She's already run 24 miles. 24. This represents how many miles she's already completed. The question is, how many more miles does she need to run for the whole week? Because she runs every day. So this is our each day. This is how many times days she does each week. So most students will say, well, it's 4 times 7 because it's 4 every day. And it's 4 and 4 and 4. And again, it's just repeating itself over and over again. So this is multiplication. So we're going to take 4 and we're going to multiply it by 7. This is going to tell me that she's got 7, 14, 20, 28 miles to do. So she does 28 miles every week. Now look, if she runs 28 miles every week and she's already done 24, the question is, how many more miles does she need to run to get to that 28 miles? So most students will say, well, if she has to go 28 miles and she's already done 24, well, that means it's subtraction. I'm going to take the 28 that she normally does. That's normals. That's her total miles that she needs to do. She's already done 24. Those are completed. So it tells me that she has 4 remaining.